name is TJ Ellis, and we're a part of Four Dream Builders, Team Bank of the Sierra. We are at the Portrait of the Warrior Gallery, and we are interviewing veterans to hear about their stories. Sir, could I ask what your name is, where did you grow up, and what branch of the military were you a part of?
Okay, my name is Arthur Gentry, and I grew up in the Los Angeles area. I was born in Los Angeles, 1930, and I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years.
What made you want to enlist in the Marine Corps, or were you drafted?
No, I joined out of high school. I didn't finish high school. A friend of mine that I was in the 4-H with, who came to school on the bus behind me, and he came running up when I got off the bus, and he said, "Hey, Art, let's go join the Marines." And I said, okay. So we went off campus and caught the bus to downtown Los Angeles to the Marine recruit depot that was in the City Hall, and joined. After we joined, we had to find out we had to have our parents' permission to join because we was only 17. Well, my brother was a Marine. He was a Marine Reserve in 1939, and they activated the reserves in 1939, so he was a paratrooper in the Marine Corps.
What was your role?
I was an anti-tank bazooka man.
Holy cow. So did you, you served for 4 years?
Yes, sir.
Where were you deployed?
Well, I was in Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, 10 weeks, and then went to Camp Pendleton, and for 2.5 years, we trained. For 2.5 years before the Korean War broke out.
What was going through your mind when the Korean War started?
Well, not knowing what war was, we had trained, but I didn't even know where Korea was. It was June the 25th of 1940, or 1950. We were notified that we were restricted to base, that North Korea had invaded South Korea. And our gunnery sergeant said, "You don't know where it's at, but I was there as a prisoner of war during World War II. The Japanese had occupied Korea for 35 years during the war, Second World War."
That stands out to you most clearly during this time?
Before the Korean War or after? Or during?
During, after, before, any
Well,
moment when you were enlisted.
Many advances during the Korean War. We landed on August the 2nd, 1950, and what a difference that was. That we spent about 4 or 5 days till we were to line up and go up and take over the Army's positions that had been run through, and we straightened them out for them. Different battles we stood before we pulled out of South Korea and went up and made the Incheon landing, where the tide goes out for 6 miles, and we landed at high tide, which was in the evening about just before sunset. And as we were landing, the tide left our ships out in the harbor high and dry or in the mud.
In the Marines, was it a brotherhood?
It was a brotherhood. We took care of each other, and we learned to take discipline. That was our first thing that we learned, was discipline. We were disciplined. We took orders. We didn't take illegal orders. Every order from our superior was an order that we were to take and to live under.
What was the relationship like with your superiors? Was there a lot of respect?
No, we discussed from a PFC or a private to a sergeant, but above that there was much. You just learned that they were over you. Non-commissioned officers were staff and above, or corporal, which I was. And then your company commander, the man that run the company was the gunny sergeant, Gunny Barnett. He controlled the company of 220 men. And if you had any problem, you went to the gunny sergeant, and then he took you before the company commander.
What was it like returning home after the Korean War and adjusting to civilian life? Was it difficult?
Well, at first it was a little difficult, then it became more difficult. We couldn't talk about our experience because we wanted to forget it. There's so many things that we wanted to get out of our mind, but they were there, and if we talked about them, who would we talk to? Nobody wanted to listen. They wouldn't understand anyway.
How was your relationship with the Lord affected during this time because you felt isolated by your fellow man?
Well, I'd gotten away from the Lord somewhat during the war, but when I came back, my relationship was renewed, and that's what kept me going, was my relationship with Jesus.
That's incredible. I just want to say we're so happy to have you here and interviewing you today, sir. We wanted to ask, what's one lesson from your experience that you would like to share with us all?
One lesson from my experience during the war? Well, there was different experiences from the south to the north. We were ordered to go up north to reunite the country because the country was divided, not too many people know, by President Roosevelt in 1944, before the war ended, the Second World War I'm talking about. And he gave half of Korea to Russia. And Russia declared war on Japan 6 days before they surrendered. And they made North Korea communist. And then they came and invaded South Korea.
So our project is named Veterans Educating the Students. For the students who are hesitant or scared of enlisting in the military, what do you have to say to them? Is there any encouragement you can give them?
Encouragement with the military? Well, our warfare as Christians is not with flesh and blood, but it's against principalities and powers in high places. It's a spiritual warfare that we're contending with. And we're fighting the enemy, which is communism, fascism, and all the isms that we've fought up until now. Talking about how we're not to take orders as a military. You ought to be under command. When you're in the military, they're not going to lead you astray. They're not going to interrogate before you go into a battle. You don't have time to find out whether it's legal or illegal. When you're in a battle, you're in there to kill the enemy. And the experience I had was that when the North Koreans or Chinese came into the battle on November the 27th, 1950, they hit us at 10:30 at night, which was when the moon came out. They're cowards. They fight with a little light. They don't have the great light. They don't fight during the daytime. And they hit us, 140,000 of them, and we were a 12,000 man division. But we put them to shame, killing over 40,000 in the battle that we fought in 15 days, which there was 17 Medal of Honor winners in 15 days of battle. They said we retreated, but we were fighting. We were encircled by the enemy. They asked one of our colonels, "What are you going to do now that you're entrapped by the Chinese?" He said, "What do you mean, what are we going to do? They're right where they want us, and right where we can get them. They can't get away. They surround us." He had an outlook on life that if you took a man from Chesty Puller, he was a man that the Marines learned discipline under.
Well, sir, I wanted to say, as we're wrapping up our interview, thank you for your service. Welcome home, and we are so grateful to have this time to talk with you.
Well, I appreciate you being here, or me being here and helping. And I just want to encourage anyone that's listening or ever listens to this, that we are in a warfare. It's a spiritual warfare. And the Christians are not going to lose, because I've read the end of the chapter. And the last words of John the Revelator was, "Even come quickly, Lord Jesus." He wants to put an end to this, even as much as we want an end to it. And I'm happy to be home and happy to be serving the Lord in this hour, in this day. I just want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you. And I have one more question I wanted to ask you. You're a man of faith. So, in war, how do you still hold to your Christian values and still become a man of faith even when you're in this harsh environment or this trying time where there's other worldly influences in your life?
Well, they say there's no atheist in a foxhole. When you're under enemy of fire for 7 or 8 months, you might not really show your faith, but you turn to God in an hour of great distress. And when the enemy comes in, King David, the psalmist, said, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." That rod is the staff that Aaron held, showed command. And that's why I believe in the command of those that are over you in the military, to be faithful.
Well, sir, I think that is all of our questions. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for having this time to be able to talk with us and share your experiences.
Well, thank you, sir.